Okay, so now we're going to be learning how to use the ModQ in order to generate pulses from the ModQ to output the pulses and to feed that into the Ranger in order to accurately measure flow. First thing you want to do is go to the configuration window of the ModQ. You want to look at the first thing you want to do is configure the units that you're looking for, whatever you're measuring, gallons, liters, barrels. For mine, I've set the volume unit to gallon. I've set the time to second, and I've set the K factor unit also to gallons. The K factor is configurable, and that is decided based upon the manual of your meter that's specified in the manual. For mine, I have 500. Now, we want to look at the pulse output settings. The first thing you need to do is make sure that this pulse output enabled box is checked off. Otherwise, you won't be seeing any pulses from the ModQ's output. As a standard, at least for me in this application, I've set the pulse width to 50 milliseconds. This calculated the max output frequency to 10 hertz. The gallons per pulse, now this is really dependent upon your application, but for me, to keep it simple, I've told the ModQ, by putting in this one, I've told it for every gallon accumulated, output one pulse. You can set it to whatever. You can set it to, if you do 0.1, you're saying here, for every 10th of a gallon accumulated, generate a pulse. But let's just make it a little easier and say for every 1 gallon, let out a pulse. So now I'm going to click on Apply All to save the settings. And now I'm going to feed my ModQ Sentry digital pulses. So if I refresh the register values, now that I've enabled the pulses, you can see for today's flow total, register 3104 to 3105, the flow register, it's accumulating. It's coming in. So now you want to take the ModQ. The ModQ should be hardwired to the Ranger by connecting both grounds together and connecting the D out terminal of the ModQ to either D in 1 or D in 2 of the Ranger. And that's what I have. So let's go to the Ranger here. And let's click on Updated Reported Metrics. We're using DIN 1. And you can see here, the DIN 1 average frequency is being calculated to 2 hertz. And the DIN 1 count cycles, the pulses are coming in. It's coming from the ModQ and being fed into the Ranger. And it's being counted here where it says DIN 1 count. It's counting those cycles. And you can see that it's increasing. So now you want to make sure that you go to flow here. And you got quite a few settings. So the contract mode, you can set that between either daily or hourly. You can set the contract hour, the contract minute, whatever you'd like. For our application, again, I've set the units to gallons. So for DIN 1, which is what I'm using, I've set it to gallons. The DIN 1 flow rate units, I've set that to gallons and seconds because that's what I have for the ModQ set as well. Now the DIN 1 flow K factor, you got to be careful here because while the ModQ, if I go back to it, it shows gallons per pulse. We're programming gallons per pulse. The Ranger is programmed in terms of pulses per gallons. So now it's reversed. So we want to be able to have the corresponding or the matching calculations. Of course, because I set it to 1 gallon per pulse, here it should be considered as 1 pulse per gallon. So here I'm saying for every 1 pulse, consider it to be 1 gallon, which is the reversing match of what I've told the ModQ, where for every 1 gallon output, or consider it to be 1 pulse. So that's set up correctly the way that we would like. So now, go to DIN 1 flow measurement, check that off and click on Apply. Because before, you were counting the pulses, you were counting the cycles. Now, it's counting the flow total, the flow for this period, the flow for last period, the average flow rate, exactly the same type of stuff that the ModQ was measuring. So now you are measuring flow. I can update the reported metrics, and you can see now based upon what we've configured, the flow K factor, and the output of the ModQ, it is now accumulating and measuring flow in gallons. So did water flow in this period, the did water flow total is 109 gallons. And that is how you would be able to interface the ModQ with the Ranger in order to be able to measure flow. And you can send that information off to the cloud if you so choose as well. But here we can see it in the toolkit. The cloud should also be able to reflect that, no problem.